All right, in this video, I'm going to be working on Notes 30, Part A. This is going to be on percent problems. And what we're going to focus on is using this formula. And it's not it's a formula in the terms of it's going to work for these problems, okay? And the idea is we're going to take a percent times the total, and whatever that is going to give us a part, okay? So percent times total equals part. And we're going to start with some basics. Okay, so what is 25% of 400? So here is, I'm going to say obviously, right? But the 25% is the percent. The total is the 400. And what we're looking for is the part. Okay, so it's going to be percent. There we go. Times the total equals part. So our percent, 25%, we need to turn that into a decimal. So I'm going to put this off to the side here. So 25%. Right now the decimal is sitting right here. So it's 25 point nothing. So do one of two things. You're either going to move the decimal 2 places to the left, in which case it's going to turn into 0.25, or you could take 25 divided by 100. That will get you the exact same thing, okay? Now, what's our total? Our total is, of course, 400. Whoops, try again. There we go, 400. And what is the part? I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. Now, with percent problems, because the percents are not necessarily that easy, the numbers are not always that great, especially dealing with decimals like this, this is going to be a place where you are going to be working with a calculator. Okay, so I'm going to pop up just a real basic calculator here and kind of split screen with it. So on my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and do 0.25 times 400, and I got 100. So 25% of 400 is 100. Okay, percent times total equals part. So I'm going to slide on over to part B. What percent? Well, that's the question. That's the part I don't know. Okay, what's my total? I'm going to go ahead and mark total. What percent of 180, so this is going to be my total, okay, is this 46.8. So this is my part. Okay, so I'm going to set up the problem. What percent? I don't know. I'll call it P for percent times the total. Well, my total is 180. Is or equals my part of 46.8. So I want to solve for what P is equal to. So in order to undo times or multiplying by 180, let's go ahead and divide by 180. All right. And I am certainly not going to do 46.8 divided by 180 in my head. No. So this I'm going to go ahead and put in the calculator. So let me clear it out. So 46.8 divided by 180. Okay, and I got a decimal. Whoops, right with a pen. 0.26. That is not the percent. That's the decimal equivalent to our percent. So if I go back. Okay, when I knew the percent, I took the decimal and I moved it 2 places to the left. So if I know the decimal, I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. And that is going to turn into 26%. Okay, so what percent of 180 is 46.8? 26%. Okay. All right, part 3. Let's see what we got here. We have 40%. All right, so there's obviously my percent of what number? So I don't know what my total is. Okay, that's the part I'm missing. Is 96. That is the part. So percent, we've got 40% here, which is equivalent to, I'll write this off to the side here. So 40%, there'd be a decimal right here. So I'm going to move it 2 places over. Now, you could write down 0.40. This 0 at the end is irrelevant. I'll leave it in there, but you don't need it. Okay. Times the total. I don't know what the total is. That's the question. okay, is 96. All right, so 40% of what number is 96? Well, since I'm trying to figure out what x equals, let's go ahead and divide by 0.4 or 0.40. Again, that 0 at the end isn't going to do anything mathematically. All right, so 0.40 divided by 0.40, that's going to go. X is equal to, let's see what happens when I put this in the calculator. So let's see, 96 divided by 0.4, yep, equals 240. Okay. And by the way, I don't know if I can actually show it in the calculator. Let me see. If I take 96 divided by 0.40, it's the same exact thing. Okay. So if you have that extra 0 at the end, that's fine. All right. Don't think that you need to have it though. All right, so that's what some basics are, and then we're going to get into some of these word problems. Now, I'm going to go ahead and lose the calculator here for a moment. All right, so I can actually read the problem. Okay, the class had a total, all right, keyword here, total of 120 students. Okay, 60% of the students turned in their assignments. How many turned in the assignments? Okay. Now, this is actually a two-part question. So I'm asking how many turned in the assignments, and then there's a second question of how many did not turn it in. Well, let's figure out how many did. Okay, percent. Well, we've got 60%. So let's see, 60% would be equivalent to 0.6 or 0.60 of the total. Okay, and that's going to equal our part. So let me pop back up my calculator here. Let me see if I can get it to sit on top of. Oh, I can't. Perfect. All right, so 0.6 times 120. Remember, the parentheses just mean to multiply. All right, so 72, and this was the percent for turning in assignments. So 72 turned in assignments. All right, so that's the first question. I'm also asking you a secondary question of how many students did not turn it in. Well, folks, if you know how many turned in the assignments and you know your total number of students, you can simply take the total minus the part that did turn in assignments. So 120 minus 72, so 48 did not. Okay, so this would be 60% of your total, right? That's what it said, 60% turned in the assignments, and this would be 40%, right? 60% and 40% make the total of 100% that we would be looking for. Let me see if I can make the calculator kind of go off to the side there. There we go. All right. Problem number 5, the quarterback completed, what did he complete? 55% of his passes, and that's completed. Okay. If he completed 22 passes, how many total passes did he throw? So when we talk about percent times total equals part, right? So let's see, percent times total. Whoa, hold on. Spell the word total correctly. Total equals part. And that's my weird little percent sign, but okay, percent, he completed 55%. So as a decimal, that's going to be 0.55. Total passes thrown. I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. But we know he actually completed 22 passes. So 0.55 times the total is equal to 22. Did I lose? Oh, I did not lose my calculator. All right. So to figure out what x is, let's go ahead and divide both sides by 0.55. All right, so x is equal to 22 divided by 0.55. Our quarterback threw a total of 40 passes. Okay. All right, and I think there's one more question. Nope, I lied. 2 more questions. Okay. So let's see what we got here. School had a total, all right, again, keywords here, total of 90 students try out for the team. Okay. What percent, that's what we're looking for, this percent, 52 students made the team. All right, so what we're always talking about here, percent times total equals part. So what's our percent? I don't know, but I'm going to call it P for percent. All right, our total, we're going to multiply by 90 students. And then we had 52 of the students actually made the team. So 52 goes here. To get our percent, we're going to go ahead and divide both sides by 90. So P is equal to, let me pull that calculator back up, because 52 divided by 90 is not happening in my head. All right, so 0.578, yeah, close enough. We're going to have to obviously round this one, okay? So what would we say this case would be? We're going to move our decimal 2 places over. Now, let me make sure I didn't lose any numbers. Nope, I did not. Okay, so move the decimal 2 places over, and that's going to give us a percent of 57.8%. Okay, so school had a total of 90 students. 52 students made the team. Make sure I put that in the calculator right. Yes, I did. All right, so that's all good for number 6. Trying to make the calculator disappear. Okay. This is the last question. Yeah, accidental homework. Okay, so 30% of the population voted for the referendum. Oh, apparently it decided to make that a straight line. Voted for the referendum. Okay, we've got a 20,000 people, so that's our total. And it's going to be a little bit weird because I'm actually asking how many voted against the referendum. So if everybody votes, okay, if 30% voted for the referendum, that means that 70% had to vote against the referendum. These two percentages add up to 100, because that would represent everybody in the town who voted, okay? So we're going to go back to percent times total equals part. So our percent, 70% is 0.7 or 0.70. Our total population is 20,000 people. I got all my zeros there. Equals our part. So let's go ahead and grab the calculator one more time here. So 0.7 times 20,000, 14,000 people. All right. Now, one thing, let me get the calculator gone. One thing that I'm going to tell you right now is, obviously, and you saw it with the video, we're going to be using calculators for these percent problems. Just be aware that basically not all of the questions we're going to be working on moving forward, especially on your homework, you should only be doing the calculator with the percent problems. Keep practicing the non-calculator parts so that you're still getting ready for that placement test. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here because that's all the problems on the note sheets. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.